Spectrum. In this video, I'll show you how to add spectrum to basic parts of your avatar. When I mean basic, I mean the UV is already squared up. For this example, I'll be using these stockings. As you can see, when I turn on the UV overlay that came with this PSD file, it's already nice and squared up, which is perfect. However, don't worry, in the next video, I'll go over how we can manipulate some UV maps to get the result we want. Alright, so let's start by going into play mode. Next, let's click on our mesh, go to the material section, scroll down, and turn on Audiolink. Then, we can enable spectrum. Let's turn up our emissions a bit so the spectrum's a little more visible. Now here's a life tip. To easily see how we can line up the spectrum, let's go into our project window and find the material that your mesh is using and click on it. Next, we can expand the material viewport at the bottom right to see what our material looks like. If your material isn't showing up as a flat square like this one, click this button here till it does, and then next let's click the little play button to the left of that. Essentially, we want to move this whole big spectrum down the bottom over here to the stocking at the top. We can do this by using the position, rotation, and scale values over here. Position X and Y will move it horizontally and vertically respectively, scale X and Y will scale it horizontally, and scale Z will scale it vertically. Scale W will also move it vertically, except it will keep the base of the spectrum fixed in the place that you left it. This one's particularly useful. Alright, now that our spectrum is all set in place, we can go through some of the settings and see what they do. So, let's start. UV mode. Today we're using normal, however I will go over circle in another video. What circle does is it basically creates a spectrum, except it's a circle, and it starts at the center of your UV map and moves to the outside. Your line width will essentially move the base of your spectrum up to cause a line to appear, as shown. Next, volume. Your volume settings will adjust the vertical part of your spectrum. Clip min and clip max will cut off the bottom and top of the spectrum respectively. Volume step will break the vertical part of your spectrum into blocks. We will do some cool stuff with this later. Band is the same as volume, except this time it's horizontally. Clip min and clip max will cut off the left and right of your spectrum. Band step will break the horizontal part of your spectrum into blocks. Shape clip will control the size of each individual block and can be only used when volume step or band step is anything above 1. Volume will control the multiplier added to that particular part of the spectrum. Color and masking is essentially an emission mask, but for spectrum. I will show you how to utilize it properly in a future video. Your volume colors will change the color depending on how high the spectrum goes. Source will change the direction of which the color will flow. With it set to Y, colors will be applied vertically, and when it's set to X, colors will flow horizontally. When set to volume, the colors will change based on the volume of the music. Blend type is the kind of blending it will use, however it will not do anything as we have emission on our colors at the moment. And that's pretty much it for spectrum. Hopefully I was able to shed some light on what all these settings do, as I know that they can be a bit confusing.